Today, we're gonna be teaching you guys how to drive manual. So in traditional cars, you have an automatic transmission, which means it shifts through the gears. And each gear in a car is kind of like a step on a staircase. So the lower gears are tiny and you can run up them fast. But you start getting to those higher gears and it's harder for your car to get into it. So in a traditional automatic vehicle, your car will shift through those gears for you. But in the original vehicles, everything was manual, meaning your transmission, you have to shift yourself. So as you may notice, there's 3 pedals in this vehicle. That you have your accelerator, your brake, and your clutch pedal. The clutch pedal is super important. The clutch allows you to basically transfer the power from the engine to the transmission, and the transmission puts that power to the wheels. Next up is your shifter. As you notice, you can move this thing around, and it has what we like to call the traditional H pattern. So you have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then reverse differs by vehicle, but in this car, you lift up and you go over. So step 1 is actually getting your car started. So in most cars, you click down on the brake and you turn your key. But in a manual, you gotta push down your clutch, and you always, I repeat, always check that you're in neutral, all right? Then you turn your key. So step 2 is putting the vehicle in motion. So first, push down on that clutch, and then go into first gear. And it's a very fluid motion. You want to make sure, so with that clutch, you're going to catch onto the transmission, and you want to make sure you're very careful with it. So step 3 is actually putting this into practice. So you get in your car, you're going to turn her on, all right, and you always want to make sure this is your e-brake, all right? You don't have a park in a manual. This is your park. It will lock the wheels up. This always has to be down when you're moving. Of course, again, you put it into first gear, and while you're letting go on that clutch, you want to give her a little bit of gas. And look at that, you're moving. So once you actually get started, you can't just stay in first gear. You have 6 gears for a reason. So once your RPMs start getting up, and again, RPMs differ by vehicle and by engine, but once you get up to RPMs, you shift. And the shift, you have to push that clutch in again. It's always important that you push your clutch in before you touch your gear shifter. So something important is a lot of people get this mixed up. Having the 3 pedals is a lot more brain power. So you gotta make sure when you're coming to a stop, you focus on stopping. That means pushing down your brake. Nothing else matters. You gotta make sure you're safe before you push in that clutch and drop into neutral, okay? You can't freak out and start pushing on the clutch and then trying to get your brake down. Your only thing is you need to make sure you are safe and respectful of not only yourself, but the other drivers on the road. So now that you're actually driving, you gotta make sure you're keeping with it. My general rule is I like to say, so let's say you're going 20, second gear is fine. You're going 30, you might wanna shift to third gear. See what I'm saying? You get up, and then 6th gear is almost exclusively for highway driving. Remember, clutch in at all times when you're shifting. And you just shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very simple. So let's say that you're driving, but you need to slow down. Instead of just braking and dropping into neutral, another thing you can do, which is much better for your vehicle, is downshifting. So downshifting can be harmful to your vehicle if you just slam it down. So you gotta make sure what you do, it's called rev matching. You basically give the car a little bit of gas and it just speeds it up and makes it much smoother on not only your vehicle, but also on you as the driver or the passenger. So when coming to a stop in a manual vehicle, it's always important you brake first, then you push down your clutch. Remember, your most important thing is being safe on the road and keeping others safe. So that brake, push that down, then you can get your clutch once you feel comfortable. And remember, if you just stop while in gear, you will stall out your vehicle, and that is very bad for it. You're of course going to stall just learning manual, but after a little while, it's just not great to do it. You'll heat up everything and you'll start smacking metal on metal. So when coming to a corner and you're going slow, it's really bad just to stay in gear. Sometimes it's much easier. You just drop into neutral take the curve, rev up a little bit, and go right back in gear. It's very smooth, it's very easy, and it just makes the corner so much easier to get by. This, of course, will take a little bit more practice. You drop in, back into gear, and you still have that power. So those are the basics of manual. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll get straight to answering them.